E-Business Development Wednesdays, and my next guest is Mr. Nathi Thusi. He is the Gabaza Holdings COO and is joining us live here in the studio. Mhlonisha, thank you for your time. Welcome to Vuma FM.
Siyabonga ukubanani la studio. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Tell us a bit about your company. In fact, you are a 100% majority black-owned and managed waste recycling company, right? But from the beginning, I'm sure as a businessman, that is not what you saw. Where did it start in terms of business for you?
Thank you for that question. The vision for the business was set out long before the business actually started operating.
But why recycling, though? I mean, where were you exposed into recycling? Somebody would think, a taxi for a man like you, or if not one, then perhaps a shisanyama of some sort. Why recycling?
Even more interesting question.
Yeah.
As I was explaining, the vision was set out long before we rolled out the recycling business.
Yeah.
When one finished university and joined the corporate world and ultimately decided it was time to venture out on our own.
Yes.
One of the things that I personally said to the colleagues back then when, I was giving my farewell speech, I said, I'm leaving corporate employment to go out there and start a logistics farm.
Yes.
And everybody turned around and said, start a logistics farm. What is a logistics farm? I've always been in logistics. So I turned around and I said, the years that I've been in corporate and managing a lot of logistics activities in our country and beyond, one thing that has stuck out for me, which cannot continue, was the mining of mineral resources in Africa and taking them as raw as they were and ship them out to outside countries which are better developed.
Yeah.
They beneficiate these mineral resources and they bring them back to us as finished products, and we just consumers of finished products. Therefore, as Africans, we needed to build and develop our own to be sharp and smart logisticians such that we are able to manage our own resources and be able to beneficiate them using our own skills, of course, from those who would be more technical, such as engineers, such that we build our own equity as an African country or as an African continent. So one started off in logistics. And when that was happening, somebody then said to me, if you are looking at managing and beneficiating resources within Africa, the outside world therefore will want to buy from Africa, therefore they will be dependent on us, and that's exactly the plan. Fast forward, we grow the business beyond just mineral resources. We ultimately get into a space where we get exposed to how glass is manufactured. Glass is manufactured from silica sand, which is a product that you mine, is a commodity. Soda ash, lime, you mine all these things.
There's a mineral resource.
Yes.
I was thinking to myself, is this gold mafia 5.2 or what's happening? Because you started off with mineral resources, but so, very interesting that glass as well. We never think of it that way because we don't don it on our wrists and so forth.
So you mine these resources and then you burn them. And you get a bottle. The beer bottle that you hold in your hand when you're having your beer is from earth, really, stuff that was mined. So with my partners at Gwabaza, we then say, how do we make an impact in an economy that consumes and does not manufacture much?
I see.
We are a consuming nation. We import a lot and we consume, and once we've consumed, we discard.
Yeah.
It becomes waste. Once you've manufactured or produced glass, if you throw it out there, it remains there in perpetuity because it doesn't rot. It doesn't reduce to anything else.
Right.
So we took a decision that we therefore need to be change agents in a country where recycling of waste is, or at least at the time, is changing now, was not necessarily seen as a business that you can grow into something really meaningful.
It sounds more humanitarian than a business.
Yes. So we went into the glass manufacturing, reclamation space.
Yes.
Started off in the townships collecting glass, processing it in line with the specs that the glass manufacturers would want it, which is your Isanti glass, your console glass. And they will throw it back into the furnace, and a new bottle is produced, and then you've got a bottle. So in other words, we're creating almost a circular economy. So that's where recycling then makes sense. So that's how the business really was founded. That's how it grew in a recycling space, collecting glass that has already been used, processing it and putting it back into the furnace so that a new glass is made, and that glass goes back into the consumer market. We buy, consume what is in there. We collect that bottle when it's empty. We take it back into the furnace, and so recycle. But all the other commodities, all the other recyclable materials go through the same system almost.
Yeah.
What you're holding in your hand, that piece of paper was once a tree.
Or sugar canes, yeah.
So if we take paper back into the mill and make fresh paper again out of it, it means we are saving a lot more trees from being chopped down to make paper. So you're saving the environment. So the business really started off like that. Why recycling? For us, it was because we believe it's a business of the future.
Okay.
When we started, stats used to say that they were producing around 108 million tons of waste as a country. That's back in 2017.
Who's they? Is it who's they?
Stats, of course, is what you get from the Department of Environmental Affairs and the interested parties in the packaging space.
Yeah.
They would quantify what is produced per annum in the packaging space, and therefore